All right, so we're in these circles, we're at these conferences, we're talking to all these folks that are all in this business, and you see what's happening with interest rates. You see that, especially in your world, it impacts me obviously directly too with insurance sales and appraisals. But you're saying, okay, banks are going to have to look for different ways to grow. Mortgage lenders are going to have to find different ways to do this thing if they're going to get ahead. And you start hearing in these conferences, or you see, more information coming out about these emerging markets, as they like to call them, these emerging markets, these minority groups that could become a bigger share of these loans moving forward. And one side of me with these concerns is, okay, this is great. There's things happening with the government where they're trying to push through some things that could help us focus on these groups. Maybe this is really happening, but then you stop and you think, oh, I've heard some of this before. This isn't brand new. I guess my question to you is, are there enough things lining up at this point where you feel confident that there could be a legitimate shift in terms of where mortgage lenders are looking to grow their markets? Are they really ready to do those additional things around financial literacy, to put the programs together? I've read some things about JP Morgan and some things that they were trying to do with some grants to try to focus on these areas. Is this real? Are we really going to see something shift, or do you think there's still a lot of work to be done to pull lenders into this vision?
Very good question. You're right. There is a fundamental change that has been building up over the past few years, but there's still work that needs to be done, right? So to start with your question, what's new, and why should companies care, right? Well, there's an old adage in business: if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, right? So companies are looking for their own benefit. How do they benefit from being focused on this particular issue? Well, let's flip the script, right? So initially I talked about the stats, right? So what those stats show is that there are 60% of untapped African Americans that are eligible today that do not own a home, right? So when you're looking at short-term strategies, to serve a demographic for your own financial profitability, you have a segment that is ripe for the picking, right? For serving, right? So, and then again, look at the Hispanics, 50%, right? So I think from a short-term perspective, more companies are flocking to the market to serve the underserved communities because it's going to benefit them immediately. Now let's look at long-term. Long-term, it's no secret, the census data has shown that in 20 years, the Caucasians in the U.S. will be a minority group, right? Meaning that they will have been surpassed by what we're calling the minorities today, the black and brown community, right? So when you're looking at your long-term vision for financial planning and sustainability, if you're disregarding this demographic, then you will be quickly out of business over the next decade or so, right? So it makes a lot of sense for the motivation, right? And then you talked about some of the parties that have been acting thus far, right? So we've seen that the Biden administration has a plan in place, and while they have certainly brought the attention to light, it does not move the needle far enough, right? You've seen Sandra Thompson and FHFA, they are getting involved. They're announcing various programs like a special purpose credit program that will make it easier to remove some of the barriers that existed, regulations, red tape that existed in serving this community, as well as offering some financial incentives, literacy, home counseling services as well. So those are certainly things that are in the works. You look at the agencies, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they've announced recently, within the past month, a plan, affordable housing plan as well. So when you see the major parties being involved, from the regulators to the agencies, it really is very positive, right? Because you can see that they are now, starting to get some inertia and movement with not just talking about it, but doing something about it.
And I loved all of that. And the thing that really stuck with me is this demographic thing, right? So when you see what those trends are, and you see that census data, you're thinking to yourself, not only should they, but they should be urgently doing this. This is coming soon. There needs to be more diversity within our industries so that these people are better represented, so that they feel more comfortable getting into this. We already know they know too little about this business. There's too much they don't know. More has to be done to bring them in, to get them comfortable to working with these individuals, especially with so much history of bias, right? Especially looking at the appraisal side from the things we discussed, right? We've got thousands of great appraisers working with us in our appraisal management company who do everything they can to not send in a biased or any kind of errored appraisal. Yet this still happens, and it happens routinely throughout the industry because of these biases. And we need to bring more people, more representation into this market so that we can try to address some of these issues. It's not the only way to do it, but it's a great way to help us progress a lot faster to address these issues that we see.
Absolutely agree.
Hey, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. More videos are on the way.